Hello, everybody. There's our nice little echo. Echo, 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 echo. Echo, echo, echo. Hey, somebody's calling already?
Is this better?
Yeah, I think it's better.
Yeah, I put my computer on mute. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay.
He's watching and we're delayed, so
okay.
It's always interesting. So
hey, we're wearing blue today.
Yes, we're wearing blue today. I have a moment, so it's one of these things. So I'm Joel Hoxley. This is David Washington, and you can't make this shit up. So you can't. So I wanted to dress up today, and I was just so excited. Now, David knows this, but nobody else knows it. So my daughter got a cat that had kittens, and after it had kittens, she was supposed to get the kittens to a certain age and get them out, get rid of them.
Right.
I don't know why, but nobody wanted the boys. I don't get it. Like, the girls were gone right away. Then, of course, the cat gets out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, slut. I mean, she came back pregnant. I mean, come on. So she has a second litter. So I'm like, how did this happen? Like, I know how it happened, but how on earth did it happen? Okay, we'll get rid of it. No, nobody wants boys. Listen, I don't get it. I'd rather have a boy cat than a female cat, because, listen, you're gonna spay, neuter, or whatever. You gotta fix them. I can't get this one fixed because she won't stop having babies.
I don't know how you do it, Joel.
No, wait.
That's the thing.
This is not even the problem, David. This is not even the problem. So I have always kept my closet shut. Okay. Since I've been in this house, I have no idea, but my closet's always open. Mm-hmm. Joshua's the same size. I've caught him several times with my tie on or with my shirt on, and I'm like, yeah, it looks good on you. I mean, it looks better on me, but it looks good on you. So yeah, I hope you know where I'm going. So my wife and I have been sprucing things up, and she was in the closet, and she was appalled at what the cats had done in there.
Sure.
Well, and you got kitty litter, you should not be using my closet. So I went in and I took a shirt, I put it in the bathroom, and I had my stuff ready to go, and I had my eyes shut because I'm just like dreading what I said. I get my sleeve on, and I went, that means that whole room reeks so bad from the cats that it got into my clothes. Oh. I grabbed everything, and before I left the house, I'm throwing it in the wash. Oh. And then I told you about the other stuff, right? I couldn't get to my car. If you watched my show this morning, this has been a day.
I heard a little bit of it. I heard about the traffic issue.
Well, that's that traffic issue, but now I'm sharing this one because this is you can't make this shit up. I mean, I have never, like, I don't like animals. I mean, I've had animals for my kids. They're all grown up. I never wanted another animal. I cannot have cats running everywhere, and I don't. They're nice. I get it. They're cute. They come up to you, but let them outside or something. I don't know what to do because they can't be inside. I would need 9 kitty litters to be able to handle this stuff. Like, you know how much a thing of kitty litter is,
Yes,
and you're going through. I'm done. I'm done.
That's a lot.
But I've shared that with you because you can't make this shit up. I was like, I just want you to understand, people, that my arm. I had to take a shower again.
Wow.
Just because I come out of the shower, I put it in. I was like, phew. I'm like,
wow.
I couldn't think about going out. It was on my arm. Oh my God.
There's a special place in heaven for you for dealing with that.
Well, I know this. I share that because it's humorous, but I'm glad to have you back, and I am so sorry. I am so sorry for the loss in your family. It brings a tear to my eye because it's like family, and it's not somebody that you hadn't brought to events that I hadn't had a chance to meet, and so we loved Eddie, and she'll be missed.
And I'm sure Daisy appreciates it. I've known Edie for 10 years, and she's family, like you said, family.
Yeah. Edie's she young. She's 55. She's my age. I think that's young.
Yes.
Nowadays, it's young. I mean, people live until they're 90. So
true.
I have till I'm 69. I don't know if I've ever told you that story. you go. My grandfather died at 72. My grandmother died at 71. My mom died at 70. I looked and I said, "Hey guys, we all die the same year."
Right. Because
my brother's just a little older than us, but technically we'd all be 69 at the same time. Hey, sorry guys. We just because I'd have to be 68, he'd be 69, right?
Yeah.
Because he'd be first.
Yes, right.
And then I'd be 68 because that's the next lower number. So
right. My
twin and I get to go out at 68. He's and 69.
Exactly. I get it.
You know, I would have at least, I'm glad I'm not dying on the, 67 because I was born in 1967. He was 67 years old. He was born in 1967. No. So a lot of good topics. Today. I did start a conversation this morning on my show, and I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but by promoting You Can't Make This Shit Up, I talked about Scott Maxwell, and I explained to those that don't know who Scott is. He works for the Orlando Sentinel. I'm going to say the right word. You know I want to say it. Yes. Yeah. But so Maxwell and I agreed on something. So that deserves a big, drum roll, because it's never does that doesn't happen anymore. He says he's center left. I don't think he's center left. I think he's taking the plunge, as I'm reading his stuff nowadays. But I think he went to a point where I like to be. Always have I always address things in a certain way, but nonpartisan races, they're very interesting. They're very interesting in themselves. So a nonpartisan race is, we want to disguise and hide your party affiliation, and we want the voter to figure out who they are by what they're talking about and how they talk about those local issues. That's a great idea, but to tell them not to be able to tell anybody what their party is, I've always disagreed with that because it's a First Amendment. The First Amendment gives you the right to say things. You can't restrict somebody from saying something to hide it from you.
Right.
And Scott agreed with this. So he says it's the right decision, but he thinks it's going to go out of control. Well, my thing is, after reading his article, if you do take a chance, remember you're limited if you're not paying for it. So if you want to read this article, it's a good article, but he's a moron.
What do you mean by that?
He's a moron because he's literally missing the point. Because he works for the newspaper, and there's not a time that the newspaper doesn't tell you who the party is.
Right. Well,
So he's already been shoving this stuff down people's throats.
Well, let's reference the article. It's a commentary by Scott Maxwell, the Orlando Sentinel. It was his January 13th commentary, and it was a commentary on the judge's ruling in November 2022. Judge MKC Rogers, pretty much stating that, but he just said
it's the First Amendment. You can't.
Right.
So now they're going to be able to print it on their material. Mm-hmm. And I say go for it. Yeah, but he's talking about they're going to now, instead of talking local issues, they're going to end up talking national issues. They're not going to be. I don't see that.
I agree with that because politics is local, first of all, and if the responsibility is on the voter to do their own damn research, first of all, ultimately it's on the voter to do their own. No. I truly believe that. The responsibility has to be on the individual.
It is on the voter.
Freedom, individual.
No, it's on the voter. I get it, but I'm telling you, I've said it a million times, yes. And I don't mean to be offensive, but voters are stupid, and it's just such a small percentage of people that have actually studied for the test. They don't know. If you don't know who is on the bottom of the ticket because you came in to vote for the top of the ticket, right. Don't think it's a multiple choice test and you have to fill in all the bubbles. Right. Please voters, leave them blank, okay?
And voters, yes, are stupid. And sometimes voters are even more lazy than they are stupid.
Well, and lazy is not lazy. I'm going to agree with you, and I'll give you something. I'm going to show. When I was the executive director in Orange County, and I would get calls from people, and they would ask me about the judges and any MPAs.
Right.
Okay, so you would just want me to tell you. You just want me to tell you who the Republicans are. Well, first of all, I can't do that.
Right.
Why don't you? I would say you could look at the Sentinel because they've already told you who they are. Mm-hmm. But the judges, I could give you a little hint, like I like all the judges this time, which is unusual. Or I go, no, this is, but I can't give that information. It's not on me, but that's lazy. Like, hey, I just want you to tell me who the Republican is. Well, why? Because
also you're a valued expert. You're knowledgeable. But that's part of doing their research.
And I understand, but they're calling me up for the lazy part. Now, if they were calling me up to ask me questions about the candidate, I'd be more than happy. But none of them really. They just want to know it's a Republican.
Right. I remember, we were having breakfast, Sunday morning breakfast, and one of the gentlemen there asked about, the judges and the August 2022 primary here in the Ninth Circuit. Yeah. And asked my opinion. I knew the gentleman was, very conservative. And so when I offered my opinion, of course, it was a couple of judges that, I was working for. Of course, say, hey, you want to vote for these judges. But I also looked at the rest of the ballot, and thought of his conservative values and say, hey, you want to research these individuals because they fall within your value set. And that gave him this disclaimer, hey, I'm a political consultant. Several of these judges I work for. I recommend them on their merits.
I
Take
mean,
that into consideration.
I think it's great that you do that, but it just seems so lazy. I want to know where the R's are. Maxwell said something, and again, I agreed with. See, so I'm going to take the moron thing back now. But I did agree on the fact that I would love to see them take the partisanship off of the ballot, make it more mysterious so that they have to actually look. I mean, in the state of Florida, they get mad at the congressional candidates because they don't have their party affiliation plastered on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because the federal government doesn't mandate that.
Right.
But the state mandates that you put this huge statement on the bottom.
Correct.
And you have to tell them party affiliation.
Correct.
Another, let's do this because the voter's stupid or lazy.
I think for us as consultants, the onus is on us to specifically, Jane, to present the best candidate.
We do, but that's it.
Wait. The best candidate with the best ideas and values for their community that they're trying to represent.
Absolutely.
So for us, it's going to be a long and strenuous process, and getting people to understand that, one, politics is local. Two, the more involvement that you have in the process, the better the results, hopefully. That's what we're looking for, the better results in holding your elected officials accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, am I happy about how the November elections turn out here in Florida? No, I'm not.
Why?
Locally, no.
Why?
I thought the best candidates were not elected.
You know, I'm just messing with you. It's like,
however,
I'm a Republican cheerleader, so I'm sorry. I'm pretty happy with where we came out.
It does make our job a little bit easier. It makes us a little bit lazier at having the party affiliation.
Hey, Alejandro, if you haven't hired anybody yet, just make sure you look in your mailbox because I did apply, so you might actually have this wild thing. You'll see. Oh my goodness, I have this guy that has all this experience, but no, I'm not going to get that. He's already picked people because it's all political. It's all political.
It is.
It's like, who helped me? Who scratched my back? There's only a couple of positions locally, and
it's a safe route. It's a safe route. And unfortunately, sometimes we don't move forward because we're trying to be too safe.
I think the problem with being too safe, as we put it, what happens is you hire somebody for those reasons, and what is their main thing? They do not want to screw up because this is a great opportunity. For 2 years, you can do this, and this person could be reelected over and over again. Mm-hmm. So you have a safe space, mm-hmm. but you don't want to screw up. Mm-hmm. So you make sure that you slowly do everything. You slow roll things. You make sure you dot I's. Make sure you. I've seen it. Like, sure. Stephanie Murphy's people never did anything quickly. She had to actually do all these mobile. Hey, I'm going to go out to these different locations to do constituent services because nobody was coming to her office. Mm-hmm. Who even knew where her office was? If I went to her office, I'd go to Senator, Nelson's and now Senator Scott's office. Sure. Why? You don't put an office. You don't put a federal office for Congress in a federal office underneath a federal office for, the Senate. I mean, this is ridiculous. Who do I want to talk to? If I got access to my senator, I might as well just go there. And then senators and congressmen, they work on the same things.
Right.
So it's not like, hey, I have a problem and my senator is going to send me to my congressman. My senator's hoping that you don't have to use his staff.
Correct.
In the first place. But they typically think, huh, I wonder why they didn't go to the congressman. Then all of a sudden they start figuring out that the congressman's slow. It's just it's a process of, I don't want to take a leap of faith. I don't want to push myself because I don't want to upset my
Or they don't want to find themselves accountable.
no, exactly. I mean,
know?
just make sure you're in the loop, make sure you know what the talking points are, don't stray from the talking points, and make sure that your staff are doing the things they need to do, and then stop being political.
Mhm.
Now you have people that have run campaigns, now they're sitting in an office. You see what I'm saying? They're sitting in the office, have to step outside to have this conversation because they're political and they're government.
Okay.
They're never going to get that thing out of them.
No.
So I'm done. I'm done with my soap.
Movies.
I'm done with my soapbox. But again, I would love to see the party taken off, because I think anything that forces
Mhm.
these voters to research. But then I get scared because, again, they don't research. If you lived in Ecuador,
Right.
you have to vote.
Mhm.
It's the law. I mean, you have to vote. If you don't vote, you can't get a passport. You can't get anything from the government. You get no government services, anything.
Sure.
I mean, I was.
But the reality here is, okay, so people are going to be lazy. People are going to go the easier route to making their decision, and that means, okay, if I'm knocking on a door on behalf of a candidate, and the person who opens the door is like, well, is your candidate a Republican or a Democrat, in a nonpartisan race? Well, I'm going to answer the question. Okay, I answered the question. We have a belief system based on party affiliation that they're going to support that candidate if that candidate, well, that candidate is this political party or that political party because they believe that that person's going to follow their belief system. That goes so far.
Well, that's
It
where.
goes so far, and that's why for us consultants, the onus is on us to present our candidates in the best possible light, with as much information about them, their values, and what they will do for the community.
Right, but David,
in such a small period of time.
But David, you, I can only talk for myself, but you've witnessed me in one of these conversations with a Republican, like, and when they try to talk about what should I be, what are my talking points and all this stuff, like, I want this to be my, position on this, that, I said, I don't care what your position is on abortion.
Mhm.
They're going to assume because you're a Republican,
Mhm.
it's this, period. They're going to assume it's that. If it's different, if you're different on gun control, if you're different on abortion, if you have a difference, then we need to let the voter know.
Right,
But
exactly.
essentially, if none of that's different,
right. If they're
then just focus on giving the voter the reason, your resume, so why you should be there.
Right.
Democrats aren't going to vote for you anyways because they already assume X, Y, and Z.
Right. The cookie cutter candidates are going to be the ones who say, okay, I believe in the platform of the Democrat or Republicans, blah, 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 blah. Those are the lazy candidates. Those are the lazy campaigns. Those are the folks who really shouldn't be running for office.
But that's all they have on their. That's all they have on their brochure, anyways. It's like, why do you have to repeat?
That's because we have so little time, 7 seconds, to capture the attention of the person who's receiving that information to make a decision. Now, that's where, again, the onus is back on the campaign and on the voter to do their own damn research, specifically the voter to do their own damn research.
Exactly.
And say, okay, this is, what's in front of me. Let me dig a little deeper. And yes, we have come across those voters who compile all the campaign literature on their dining room table, on their kitchen table, on their nightstand, whatever. And when it comes to getting in their ballot at home or going to the polling place, they've done their research. They made an educated, not guess, but an educated decision on who they want to vote for, beyond just this stereotypical cookie cutter platform.
No,
or belief.
I love it because
I'm going after those voters, and I want those voters to be more active and more involved in what we do.
So
I want those voters.
So David, you get all the Democrat mail because you're 100% voter.
Right.
They know.
Wait, 100% Democrat voter?
I'm just saying you vote 100% of the time. I mean, I'm sure it shows up.
Yes,
I'm sure it shows up
I
that you
understand.
vote all the time. But since you registered Democrat, they assume you voted Democrat.
Right. Yes.
That I get. So you're going to get a mailer from Maxwell, Alejandro Frost. I mean, it's just going to happen. And I'm going to get the Republican because I'm registered Republican and I don't miss a vote. And they want to make sure that I'm going to come out. They're trying to push me out. But what I did enjoy, and it was kind of interesting, is I didn't know that my daughter had decided she didn't want to be a Republican anymore because of Donald Trump.
Okay.
When she went to get her license, they gave her an option. She didn't want to party. So it doesn't bother me. I mean, she knows where I stand on most issues. But what interests me is now I have the opportunity to see who wants to win. I love the look on your face because I see how much mail she gets. She's a 99.9% voter. And here you've got a 99.9% voter who just left the Republican Party.
Right.
Wouldn't you think that you would? I would have wanted that mailer to go to her,
right? Because
she still was a Republican. Something got her to leave, but she got more stuff from Democrats. And it's like you now know who wants to win. Other than Ron DeSantis made sure that she got something. Smith made sure she got something, and but other than that, it was a lot of crap from Democrats. So I could see some of the stuff that you would like. Green, I don't know where she got her money because she
that's a debate for another day.
Yeah, I'm just saying. So, but that's where I'm at. So I agree with where Maxwell is. If you want to share,
excuse me,
if you want to share a little bit more about that, but yeah, Maxwell he made a great point, but I don't think he realizes that as a consultant and I have an NPA candidate, I don't appreciate you telling people who he is. I don't, because if there's a rule he can't tell anybody, why are you telling anybody? Right. But now now it's free. It's totally different, right? But you got to remember, I ran a race against two individuals, one being of the same party. Right. And that tore me apart because we you're going to lose. Right. When you split the vote, you're going to lose.
Of course. Yeah.
So all that effort, all that money, and the money that's left on the table that you couldn't raise because people turned and went with the guy they knew were going to win.
What I'm hoping is that now that nonpartisan candidates are free to discuss their party affiliation, that we could have more thoughtful conversation about what that candidate can offer their community. Talk about their involvement with the community, what they have done for the community, instead of a lot of the talk, at least within our four walls. And I believe, again, that establishing that relationship with voters,
yep,
based on not just personality, cult of personality, or slogans or crafty messaging, but honest conversations.
Yeah, but I think there was a very good point with Maxwell. Okay, and don't. Yeah, I hate agreeing with the man, but
Embrace it.
but
Embrace it.
okay. So we finally have something we talked. So we went to a forum, the Black Journalists, and it was one of the best forums
Yes.
that we went to, and we had a nonpartisan candidate at the time.
Yes.
Our vice mayor. Thank you
Vice
very
Mayor,
much. Thank you
Mayor,
very
Mayor,
much
Mayor,
for
Mayor.
all the work you did in getting
Yes.
her elected, and it's just wonderful to know that she's there because she is nonpartisan. She has a party affiliation, but she's nonpartisan. She's the kind of person that has people that are basically want to kill each other yesterday in the same room laughing and joking.
Right.
And then they go out and they want to kill each other again. But with that said, the reason I'm getting there is there was a question, and I think you and I absolutely like, yes, there are candidates on this stage that should be answering possible abortion questions and things like this, right? But when it came to the county, why was the question the same? Because it has nothing to do with the county. But now we're going to have people thinking that, okay, we can talk to this person about abortion and this issue, issues that have nothing to do because nobody knows.
And the answers will still be the same.
For us,
right. That's not in the scope of of the duties of a county commissioner.
But they won't be.
So forth and so on.
They won't be anymore. I don't think that. I think what Scott is saying, and I agree, is it's not going to happen that way. They're going to start talking about abortion. They're going to be trying to use those national issues to push themselves into it.
And this is
again, working on the ignorance.
And this is what we teach our candidates, our clients, is that you have to control the tone and the content of the conversation and the scope of the conversation. And so if let's say in 2023, right now, 2023, we have the Orlando City elections and other municipal.
Oh, I talked about that this morning.
And if someone says to candidates for the mayor of Cody, candidate X, what's your position on abortion? And as candidate X, the reply would be, that is nowhere near the scope of my duties as a mayor. However, let me talk to you about land development, land use. Let me talk about the quality of our community services. Let me talk about safety. Let me talk about the quality of our water, flooding issues. Just because there's an opportunity to ask those specific questions doesn't necessarily mean that those specific questions have to be answered.
But then again, I'm just saying, I love what you're sharing because this is us.
Yeah.
The way we want to make sure our candidate is right for the place. Mm-hmm. If a Democrat is the only one who can win this race, and we just want the right Democrat. If there's a Republican's going to win this race, we want the right Republican.
That's right.
And if it's purple, then we look deeper into the area and make our assumption on what is good for that district.
Correct.
You fight for your blue, I fight for my red. We come out somewhere, but if that's our hardest thing, is making a decision like that. But they're not being treated by people like you and me. Those consultants, look, consultants start to go away, they get older and they get replaced, and they're so partisan nowadays. It's so vitriol nowadays that they think it's got to be, red meat for everything.
And Joel, again, the responsibility is on that particular client to do their own damn research. Mm-hmm. Take the time to thoroughly think this out instead of jumping into a campaign 8 months, 6 months from an election and thinking, oh, I can win this, and giving us a call and saying, hey,
again, that was
I need some help.
That's the message in the morning. I'm
Right.
like, I talk about the fact that, hey, the hidden election is here for Orlando.
I mean,
And
there's things that we can do for you
but
in that time frame.
if you're thinking that you're going to jump in now, you're already late.
Right.
But if you're thinking about 2024, why are you not sitting in David's office having a conversation? You don't have to hire him right now, but you need to interview those consultants. You need to know the people that are going to get you where you need to go.
Exactly.
And that just drives me crazy. But again, he's trying to say that it's going to be a bloodbath of, partisanship now, and he's betting on the mailers looking national instead of looking local.
And let's go after his ass, okay? Let's go after Scott Maxwell and the Orlando Sentinel and the rest of the media. Their responsibility in this shit.
Oh yeah.
Their responsibility to do a thorough investigation of these candidates, of the issues, and not just commentary.
Well,
we get your feelings, guys. We get your feelings. But give us, when you have those, candidate interviews?
Right, exactly.
Give us substance.
But why do
attack the issues that matter?
This is why. But then
remember
the
facts.
You cried. He cried because Republicans weren't showing up. They weren't showing up because when you look at a board,
call them out on
you look at the board. No, Seminole County. Look at Seminole County. Seminole County said, "Look, we're not doing any interview. We're not doing any interviews.
Right.
No editorials because
it.
Lafferty is a Democrat. This one's a Democrat, and Maxwell's an independent, but his family are all registered Democrat.
Okay.
So
their Orlando should hit their asses hard.
So when
they sat back like, oh, okay, they're not going to.
But now me,
So it's a disservice.
For me, I want my candidate there because the first thing that candidate's going to say is, I'm glad to be here because at least I can voice my opinion against all of these Democrats. Where's the Republican on this board? I would be right there. Who's the Republican on this editorial? Because I just want to know, so I know who's actually listening to me.
Correct.
I'm going to endorse so-and-so. I'm going to endorse so-and-so. I'm going to endorse so-and-so because, so-and-so didn't show up. Let's look at Corey Mills. Let's look at.
Wait, back up. Let me understand this correctly. You're saying that as a Republican candidate, you want to know which Republican on the board.
Yeah, they don't have one.
Right. Does it matter?
No, it doesn't.
Orlando Sentinel is the largest, I would assume, 111,000 subscribers across, 7 counties or whatever. But does it matter? It is an outlet. It is a media outlet that has a readership. Okay, so David Smith.
So David Smith does not get the endorsement from the Orlando Sentinel because the Orlando Sentinel doesn't like the policies that are coming out of DC and the fact that he's a Republican and he's voting for things so he can get legislation passed. That's exactly what they did.
David Smith is a
state rep, right? So you basically
out of DC has nothing to do with.
No, I'm talking about Tallahassee. I'm saying Tallahassee. I'm sorry, Tallahassee. So they don't like the Parent Bill of Rights. They don't like this. They don't like this.
Sure.
They beat them up. So why, if David comes and you've endorsed him in the past because
David should come to get the endorsement again. The endorsement was not made before he offered.
But he's one of. I'm just saying he's one of the ones that comes in interviews.
Sure.
So the endorsement for his opponent didn't seem like it was an endorsement for the opponent, other than it was we've endorsed him in the past, but we're not going to endorse him this time. And I think that was a lot of the stuff.
Call the endorsement. I do.
Yeah. So
endorse his opponent, but the reasoning behind it, maybe it is lackluster.
No, this was simply it was a bloodbath as far as Republicans in the Sentinel, and this
Well,
is
if
why
you
they.
don't show up, if you
but
don't
this is
show
why-
up, then
but-
of course it's going to be a
No,
bloodbath.
but the ones that do show up, you credit. I get it. I'm not saying they shouldn't show up. I'm an advocate for them showing up. But what I was saying is let everybody know, hey, the odds are against me here. I'm not saying, what I'm saying is if I'm in a place, if I'm in a place where everybody's against my opinion, I
See, I have to disagree because when you look at the August 2022 primary and the Sentinel's endorsement of the judges, judicial candidates, and knowing what the criteria is to become a judge, their judicial record or lack thereof judicial record, their memberships in the Federalist Society, and where that stands on a lot of judicial issues, legal issues, and community involvement and all that stuff. They favor with a lot of the conservative judges that came before them.
David, judges are a whole different conversation that we can have.
But it was very clear.
Conservative
judges,
it's a clear, it's a,
those in between.
I'm not going, I'm saying if I'm a partisan
So you can't say
candidate,
they're not friendly. They wouldn't be friendly. I mean, granted, there were certain votes in the state legislature.
if you make good decisions on
that
the
made
bench,
it.
if you make good decisions on the bench, no matter if you're conservative or liberal, you're going to be endorsed. If you're already sitting on the bench,
There were some decisions that weren't good. There were some of the candidates had poor records of turning over cases.
I'm saying that it doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. The incumbent judges seem to have the advantage. So
Sure. Yes,
I'm not going to go judges because judges. I don't even know. I don't even know. But how does this affect? How does this affect judge races? Is something I would look at because judges have more rules because they have the bar. They're complaining about things. Hey, don't tell anybody my wife is don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Listen, you have a ethics thing and all this. Listen, you basically said that these candidates have a freedom of speech and they cannot be subject to not saying something.
Right.
Now the bar is going to be very, I say the bar, but I'm talking about the bar being high. It's a pun intended. But the bar and what the rules are there because they want to be out of that. And guess what? Oh, what now? Hey, I was endorsed by Ron DeSantis. I was put on the bench by Ron DeSantis. It's, Ron DeSantis endorsed me. Basically, they do, but they have to. They usually have to kind of squeeze through these holes. Now it's just like, hey, I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative judge. I mean, they can come out great out. Hey, how would you rule on this decision? Well, I can tell you now.
Right.
I mean, you can't stop me from telling you.
I would like to know more.
I mean, come on.
I mean, how this affected judicial.
No, I'm with you because this is what I'm thinking. Like,
we've got 19 of them.
It's still going to be. I believe they'll still restrict them because of they're part of the law. They'll probably say, look, we don't want you giving your decisions because your opinion's there, and then you'd have to not be able to judge on anything because we already know your opinion. I mean, we took a DA out because he didn't agree with the Parent Bill of Rights and all this other stuff. He's losing his cases.
Right.
I mean, he came out. He said he wouldn't enforce this. He wouldn't enforce that, and that ticked off the governor. The governor made a point, pulled him off the bench, pulled him out of his position. I was elected. Yes, I know you were elected, but you should have kept your mouth shut.
Judge Casey Rogers' opinion is Hetherington versus Madden, and I'd like to examine that a little bit further, particularly for judicial races, because this does open up a lot. And if anyone out there in the metaverse or in reality, in real life, have looked at this, please comment below and let us know your opinion of the judge's decision in regards to party identification in nonpartisan races, particularly as it pertains to judicial races.
And on that same note, if you're thinking about running for judge, one of the best firms that you could get to support you in consulting is Jay in Washington. Jay in Washington is ready for you. If you're a judicial candidate, we have put ourselves on the line before. We are probably the bravest of companies when it comes here, because you do know that we will play by the rules. We will do we'll take the confrontations as they come.
That's right. We will advocate for you, for your constituency, for the voters. We don't hold back.
No, the best performing, I believe the best performing judge on the entire ballot was your client
by far.
And Michael Stewart should have won that race. I do believe he should have won that race, because if he had the time and the bully pulpit, like it would be a different. It's already an uphill battle, but to come that close, to make a judge have to raise money and have to run, that's all we want. It's about who's appointed. Let's look and broaden who we're appointing, no matter if we're Republican or Democrat, because here's a guy who's, I'm going to say, he's pretty conservative. He's right there. He's kind of conservative with me. I agree with a lot of things, but he's liberal enough where he agrees with you enough. This is a perfect NPA candidate. Correct. This is a judge that's we both judged as good person. Like, this is the perfect
attorney. Right.
This is the perfect person for this job. Right. This attorney should be in the pool.
Yes.
And the reason, the reason he needs to run in the first place is because it's ridiculous who's being, the appointments are so, hey, I went to school with this one. Hey,
cronyism. And Michael offered a fresh approach. He offered balance, and Michael was one of the better ones.
But again,
there's a place for him.
I'm gonna
future. There is a place.
I'm gonna say this out there too. It's costing him a fortune because of those rules we're talking about. Because you have to make sure this special attorney for protecting it. It's just, to me, Michael is a shining star for me. The things that he went through and the things that he did, I say, that's the kind of candidate. He worked it.
Speaking of shining stars, I want to thank our producer, John. Thank you, John. We're reaching an hour into this.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just trying to stretch it.
However, John is going to take a larger role in producing all of our podcasts, and I'm really excited about that. And to make sure that we stay focused on our subjects, our time, and
I really don't get
entertaining and knowledgeable as possible.
And then I come in and screw it up because I have no discipline.
We're gonna have the carrot and the stick. There you go.
And the only reason I know what time it was is because you have that nice cup of coffee over there.
Yeah.
And mine was empty when I came in, and I was like, I mean, late twice in.
And that 1 o'clock meeting with our team.
David jumps up. He goes, "It's 11 o'clock." But I'm glad we talked about this subject, because I think the more we promote the fact that it's local politics, and I'm going to plug my book. I'm redoing it. I'm correcting the issues that were in the original because it was published without being edited. But it's not that bad that you can't read it. Maybe you just don't want to pay for it. But bring America to
It's worth paying.
but bringing America together again really tries to get you to focus locally. But it also shows you that no matter what, there's politics in every part of your day. And when I was in the service, I kind of talk about, the Berlin Wall coming down. These are things in history that I've been around, and the politics behind them. Like, who actually took down the wall, right? Reagan gets all the credit for it. And he went to Germany. He said, take down this wall. But it came down under George Herbert Walker Bush because the pressure was there. So when you say who won the war, who won the Cold War, the United States, Reagan didn't win it. He gave the stick that got the win, but it crumbled under Bush. And Gorbachev was so hated because of these things that they disrespected him after he just recently died. And they disrespected him over there. He's like a hero to us, and they hate him. The Russians hate him because now Ukraine's part of this whole thing. Like, so I'll get off that, but it's crazy. It's crazy. So do we have time we have 9 minutes. We have time for the next topic. I think this topic was way too. It was gonna be a long conversation.
Yeah.
But I want to know about the judges. I want to know about David. Let's do this. I've criticized Maxwell. Let's have one of our interns reach out to, Scott and his boss, since it's not Lafferty anymore. It's Karen.
Correct.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't have your card in front of me, but let's make that.
Chris.
Yeah, let's make that lunch.
Yeah.
Or let's make that time, because
our invites will be going out because of the obvious delays, personal delays on my end. But the invites will be going out to select members of the media to join us on our podcast. Also, other leaders, influencers, advocates in the community.
Hey, and if I called you a name at any given time, or David's called you something, don't worry about it. It's like it's not personal. Never is. As a matter of fact, I still like. Listen, I still like a lot of the people I've actually run campaigns against, and they're like, I can't stand this person. I'm never going to talk to him again. I'm kind of like blush because it's like, I'm going to talk to him. The person is different than the politician.
It's about relationships, and we're creating a community of voters, of lay people, of clergy, of influencers, everybody, anyone who's willing to understand, embrace what we're trying to put out there, bringing the best people forward to represent the best ideas of their communities, regardless of who they are, where they're from.
Hey, David, where are you going tonight?
Tonight, I am going to Roboland.
Roboland? What is Roboland?
Roboland is the newest attraction to iDrive, 6464 International Drive. Tonight, 5:30 is their ribbon cutting ceremony.
Yes, and two of my favorite, one of my favorite robots and one of my favorite citizens of Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
And a recent board member, we voted her on the board. Sophia will be there.
Yes.
So we have AI on our board. We have
the most advanced AI robotics in the world. Sophia will be joining us, or we'll be joining her.
We'll be joining her. Yes.
She presented in front of the UN in the past. I've seen her work on YouTube.
And our other guy upstairs is
Titan.
it's Titan, and Titan was a finalist on America's Got Talent. So,
Britain's got
yeah,
talent too.
which one
Britain. Britain's got talent. That's where I first was.
was it?
introduced to 'em.
Was it on that one?
Yes.
I could be wrong, but I just knew it was one of the talent shows.
Right.
So
It's going to be fascinating. There's other robots there. Hey, have you seen? I know this is different, but the Boston Dynamics robots that they have.
oh yeah.
Oh my God, I saw a video last night. Of one of
But
the
now
robots.
I don't know what the name of it is. Because I never asked, and I feel food is amazing. You all laughed at me. You all laughed at me when they said, yeah. So one of the person we were talking to, his business partner comes running out the door and he says something to Scott, and Scott looks at him. He says, "Well, we don't have to be anywhere till 3:00." He's like, "No, the tasting is now." And I'm like, everybody's involved in this conversation. I'm like, I'm going to follow this man out the door because he's going to a tasting. Now, the tasting got a lot better than just the food, man. I hate sweet potatoes, but they're you have the waffle fries, and then you have the waffle fry sweet potatoes.
Right.
Oh my goodness! She told me make sure that I had the warning about the peanut. If you had a peanut allergy, I think I ate half that platter.
Mhm.
I went back to it every time, and I was like, "That's so good." And all of everything they brought out,
It's
and
delicious.
the drinks. There are four. Okay, the four bartenders. There are three main bartenders that work the bar itself, and they were each making a signature drink.
Mhm.
And I don't. I go along. I go for a few days to not drink because I always want to make sure that I haven't got to that point, right? But hey, it was so good. It was so good.
It's delicious.
I think I tried everything, and I might have tried one twice, but
And I had to walk away. It's like, whoa, there's so much. I love my job.
I love my job. I love the people that were around. John, thank you very much. It's a huge relief to have somebody who can, smack me around and keep me in line. Because I tell you, my wife can't do it because she's at work.
On that note,
Well, give all my love to Daisy.
yes.
I can't wait to introduce you, the audience, to our latest intern.
Teammate. Yeah.
Yeah, we have Addison Rich is starting with us. She's in the University of Central Florida's uh, ad PR program. We got her from Intern Pursuit. And I did just think of another thing, David, that she should be preparing us for.
Mhm.
Because in March, guess what? Is the second Intern Pursuit.
That's right.
It's
That's
March.
So quickly. Yes.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden it's right there. So registration was just emailed out, and I just got that. So I definitely I don't know if we bring both. I don't think I think we just bring Jay in Washington, and then bring all of our other stuff
Right.
at the one table. Oh, and again, we're going to broadcast from there
Oh yeah.
because that was so fun for me.
Now that we know, at least now that I know how it's, conducted and all that stuff and planning and all that, get in, get set up, get our spot.
David, you know what I'm gonna say, right?
What's that?
I will wheel the TV in this time. I'll bring the TV in this time.
We're gonna put that damn thing in the box.
I'm sorry. That's
Because I broke it
inside.
last time. It fell over.
He did a little damage, and then it just fell apart from there.
Exactly.
Oh, but it was there wasn't supposed to be anything on the floor. So in David's defense, he would have never known that cord was there. So
It's cool.
And
We're good to go.
we're good to go. So we have. I'm just trying to make sure that these 30 seconds go just the perfect way.
Like, share, hit the notification button, all that good stuff. you know, join our community. We are growing. There's so much ahead. We want you to be a part of it.
All of those social media right there that we have. So,
Mhm.
okay.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much and have a great day.
Take us out.
I don't think I have some. Oh, I can play the intro again. No, just thank you very much and have a great day.
Awesome.